Time for World Sport from the BBC with me, Andy Barwell. Coming up in the next 10 minutes, all the latest World Cup qualifying news in football. England maintained their perfect record. Another shock in qualifying for the Africa Cup of Nations. And F1 is back. Guess what? Another Lewis Hamilton win, but this season could be a little different.
Hamilton turns through the final turn, comes towards the checkered flag and wins the first race of 2021. Probably one of the most intense victories he has ever secured.
Let's start, though, with the World Cup qualifying football for Qatar 2022. Here in Europe, the striker Dani Olmo scored a stoppage-time winner as Spain edged past Georgia 2-1 away. Spain hadn't lost a World Cup qualifying game in 28 years, but were behind at half-time. But they came back to keep that winning run going. The world champions France got their first victory with a 2-0 success in Kazakhstan through Barcelona's Ousmane Dembele and an own goal. Germany needed a goal from Bayern Munich's Serge Gnabry to win 1-0 in Romania. Italy 2-0 winners in Bulgaria, while Denmark hit 8 goals past Moldova. Well, England maintained their winning start to the 2022 World Cup qualifying campaign with a comfortable victory over Albania. It's now 2 wins out of 2 for Gareth Southgate's side. Tottenham Hotspur striker Harry Kane and Chelsea midfielder Mason Mount were on target in England's 2-0 success away in Tirana. This report from the BBC's football correspondent John Murray.
This for England was almost the textbook win in a qualifier in Eastern Europe. England dominated possession from the outset, and while Uzoni wasted a good opportunity for Albania on the counter-attack, Harry Kane made the breakthrough for England shortly before half-time. The captain heading in his first England goal since 2019 from a Shaw cross, and they pushed on from there. A Kane shot hit the bar, Foden had one touched onto a post, and it was all over when Mount finished well after being set up by Kane. So 2 wins out of 2 on the road to Qatar sets things up nicely for the sterner test of Poland at Wembley on Wednesday.
Well, there's been another shock result in the Africa Cup of Nations qualifying on match day 6, with Sudan beating South Africa 2-0 to ensure that they're through to next year's tournament as Bafana's expense. The BBC's James Gregg reports.
Well, going into the game at the Al Hilal Stadium, South Africa knew that a draw would be good enough to qualify, but instead they imploded against a Sudan side that were fired up with real purpose and motivation. It was a 2-0 victory, a winner-takes-all game, so South Africa won't be at the tournament in Cameroon next year. But Sudan are through at Bafana's expense. First half goals from Saifildin Maki and Mohamed Abdelrahman did the damage for Sudan, and it takes them to their first finals since 2012. And only the third time since 1976 for the country that won the trophy all the way back in 1970. In the other group game on Sunday, already qualified Ghana beat bottom side Sao Tome Principe 3-1. And on Monday, Uganda will be seeking to qualify for the third consecutive tournament in a winner-takes-all tie in Malawi.
Well, on to motor racing now. Formula One is back a little more than 4 months after Lewis Hamilton took a record-equalling 7th world title. Despite Max Verstappen starting the race on pole, it was Hamilton who emerged victorious at the season-opening Bahrain Grand Prix after a dramatic race, finishing ahead of the Red Bull driver Verstappen in second, Mercedes teammate Valtteri Bottas in third. Our F1 commentator Jack Nicholls watched the race unfold.
Hamilton winning the opening race of the season doesn't sound like a particularly remarkable turn of events, but it was the fight that F1 has been waiting for since 2013. Both Verstappen and Hamilton seemed to have the race under control at various stages, but in the closing laps it was the Red Bull driver that seemed favourite. He passed for the lead with 4 laps to go, but was instructed to give the place back to Hamilton because he'd overtaken off the racetrack. He was then unable to repass the British driver before the checkered flag.
Well, Lewis Hamilton was thrilled to win such an intense battle, and he is relishing the challenge of competing with Max Verstappen throughout the season.
You know, each year they're talking about, when you've hit your peak, and I'm trying to make sure that, well, I think timing is everything. I think I'm kind of probably at that, and Max is really doing well at the moment too, so it's going to take everything and more for us to put in performances like this. But we love the challenge. I love the challenge. I still love what I do.
Well, Max Verstappen was downbeat to miss out on the victory, but was still taking a positive outlook for the rest of the season.
It's of course a shame, but you also have to see the positive. You know, we're really putting the fight onto them, and I think that's great to start the year like that. Overall, I mean, we managed to finish the race, of course, and scored good points.
Well, to cricket news now, and India completed a clean sweep of series victories over England, the Test campaign, the T20s, and now the one-day international series. India were winners of a tense third and final one-day international by 7 runs to seal a 2-1 triumph. Chasing 330 to win, England looked down and out at 200 for 7, but they came close thanks to 95 not out from Sam Curran and some sloppy fielding from India. England are the #1 ranked 50 over side in the world, so this will mean a lot to India and their captain Virat Kohli. The Indian cricket broadcaster and pundit Prakash Wakanka referenced India's shaky catching, but first paid homage to a brilliant series.
What a tremendous game of cricket we had. And really, I mean, you know, this series, and in fact, the last few months in world cricket have just brought out the amazing amount of talent that youngsters are bringing to the table. You look anywhere in the world, and particularly during the India-England series, it's been the young men, the new players who've really come out and shown what they're capable of. Terrific, terrific final game of the series, and India just about scraping through. Maybe they just ran out of butter finally on their fingers.
Well, Devon Conway smashed an unbeaten 92 off 52 deliveries, and Ish Sodhi took 4 wickets to help New Zealand beat Bangladesh by 66 runs in the first 2020 international being played in Hamilton. And in the women's game, Ashley Gardner helped the world champions Australia beat New Zealand by 6 wickets in taking a 1-0 lead in their 3-match 2020 campaign. Well, it's an All-American final of the World Golf Championship match play event taking place at Austin in Texas. Billy Horschel is 2 up on Scotty Scheffler through 12 holes. The winner there will pick up a prize of $1.8 million, $1.2 million for the runner-up. Well, to boxing now, the British fighter Dillian Whyte's hopes of a heavyweight world title shot are alive after a thrilling win in Gibraltar. He knocked out Alexander Povetkin on Saturday after suffering a brutal defeat at the hands of the Russian back in August. But 2 fights between world champions Anthony Joshua and Tyson Fury suggest another lengthy wait for Whyte.
There's nothing wrong with the performance last year. There's one mistake. Heavyweight boxing, we have milliseconds to make five, 6 different decisions. Sometimes you make the wrong one, and that's it. I went for the hook, and he came out the middle. That's all. But this time, I didn't sit in the front foot. I stayed centre, and I was back in case, you know what I mean, a bit of balance. So, yeah, easy adjustment.
Cameroon's Francis Ngannou is the first ever UFC heavyweight champion from Africa. He won his rematch with Stipe Miocic at UFC 260 in Vegas on Saturday, thanks to a second-round knockout, and he was thrilled to avenge his defeat to Miocic back in 2018.
I feel great, man. You know, it's been 3 years that I've been living without it. I always thought that I could have it 3 years ago. So tonight there wasn't a place for mistake. So like on my corner, always remind me to calm down and execute the game plan perfectly. And you know, here we are. The goal, the game plan was to be relaxed, not to rush at all. That's the moment that I have the best of myself, when I'm relaxed. You know, I'm not rushing to cut someone's head.
Before we go, the main headlines. England's footballers made it 2 wins after 2 in World Cup qualifying, 2-0 winners in Albania. The world champions France got their first victory of the campaign, 2-0 in Kazakhstan. And Lewis Hamilton was the winner of the season-opening Bahrain Formula One Grand Prix. That's the latest world sport from the BBC.